I'm so glad you found my channel, Sweet Uniquities, where everything I do here is always sweet and custom for an event, making it a true uniquity. Today we're going to do something very magical. So let's jump into today's project. I have the most fantastic news for you today, and that is 2020 is behind us. You are welcome. Now, I thought what better gift that Sweet Uniquity could give you than some whimsical magic for the start of the year. So today, inspired by Miss Evie herself, thank you dear, we are doing rainbows, unicorn, and butterflies. So let's jump into today's very magical project. First thing I did was I rolled out some white fondant mixed with CMC powder or Tylose powder and cut them in circles, and they're hard so you can hear, so we'll be able to work with those nicely. I also had a butterfly cutter, and it gives great detail. And so you see here, those are nice and hard. Those have been mixed with CMC powder as well. And then we're gonna do two different unicorns. So one we're gonna do with the round circle, and then the other one we're going to do with a cutter. And the cutter, isn't this cute what it did, the details that it added? So cute, so cute. We are going to add some cool stuff to that. So how this cutter is, it actually is a cutter, but it has an impression with it. So whenever you have your fondant rolled out, or your cookie, I guess, you can push it down, push this down and then press this down into the fondant so that you get the stamp on there. So those are that's all the beginning of what we're going to be doing today. So now we're going to add the color and all the fun stuff, and I can't wait to see how they turn out. So let's go. Using flower plunger cutters, I cut out fondant in lots of different colors for the flowers for the unicorn's mane. For the larger flowers, you can use either teaspoons or paint palette wells to give your flowers a little bit of shape. Here I'm using a special little cutter to make the unicorn's ears. Then I take a little tiny ball of yellow and I put it in the center, and I roll it out with a rolling pin, and you have the inside of the ears. You'll probably want to make them a little more pointed than I did so it looks more like a unicorn. Now I'm taking a pre-made Wilton unicorn horn. I'm cutting off the bottom and I'm gluing it to another one to make it longer. And then I will use a little tiny flower right where I attach them together so you don't see the seam. This worked really well. Once everything is dry and hard, you can start assembling them. So just kind of play around with it and use some edible adhesive to place things where you want them. When my unicorn were done, Mr. Uniquity informed me that it looked more like a cat or maybe more like a lamb than it did a unicorn, but I think it looked precious, and so did Miss Evie. So feel free to adapt this to any kind of topper that you need, whether it's a lamb, a cat, or a unicorn. Using a black edible marker that I purchased off of Amazon, I just made the eyes and the eyelashes. Then just a little bit of petal dust to add some blush. Using the details that the impression stamp gave us, I just used a little edible adhesive and different colors of little non-perils, and I gave the butterfly some pretty colors. For the rainbow, I used a line cutter. These are great for just nice straight lines, and I will link that down below. Then just work with them and push them together in a way that looks appealing to you, and use your disc cutter to make it even on the edges. Then place them on your disc, let them dry for just a little bit, and then once they're dry and they're easier to handle, you can add some edible adhesive to attach them to your disc. And now for some sparkle on the other unicorn, we're going to use some disco dust in a bright pink. It's so sparkly and awesome, I love it. Using a little edible adhesive, I just add that to the mane so that we have some sparkle on this. Using a little fluffy paintbrush, just remove the excess glitter. And as far as I'm concerned, perfectly pink-tastic. To add a bit of detail, I use these great food markers I got off of Amazon. I'll link them down below. I use the pretty blue, and I add a little eyeball for the unicorn. And here is the way I love to save my disco dust. Use just plain, clean printing paper. Perfect. So the colors that are showing on the screen look different than they do in real life, but I think that the rainbows turned out great. I think the unicorns are adorable. My one little unicorn that also looks like a cat or a lamb, I think is so cute, and it actually was very simple. Not the biggest fan of my butterfly, but it just looked a little sloppy. I lost a lot of the beads, but still cute and easy. I sure hope you'll come back to my channel and see the next video. The best way to do that is to subscribe and like. Have a sweet and unique day, and we'll see you soon.